Hey everybody, time for part two of the literature of terror and suspense essay instructions. So I just posted video part one. If you're watching this and you haven't watched part one yet, what are you doing? Watch part one, okay? So what I want to talk to y'all about today is the actual prompt. Now I have that prompt here. Let me grab it. The light's kind of turned off on me, but y'all can still kind of see it. Let me get my lights back on. Hang on. Put it on. There we go. All I gotta do is stand up and my lights turn on. All right, so I just kind of went over this in part one, but I want to talk to you, kind of paragraph by paragraph, what I'm looking for, in this section. So the intro paragraph just says, state the story that you'll be discussing and the theme or role that we recognize in class associated with the story. Make sure you pull the reader in with the proper hook. So what I did, if you go on Google Classroom, there are two examples of intro paragraphs there. And I kind of did them in class to kind of show the kids, like they modeled their first paragraph after mine. So if you want to model yours after mine too, that'd be fantastic. If you don't want to, you want to go your own way, that's cool too. But if you look at my first example, I said, in the chicken coop monster, Missy learns that love drives out fear when she becomes convinced that a monster lives in the chicken coop. I picked this story because I have a personal connection with the moral. Boom. That's all I got to do. I did that in 2 sentences, y'all. If you notice, one thing I did, my story is put inside quotes because it's a short story. If it was like a book or a movie or a TV show, it'd be underlined, but because it's a short stories, songs, poems, always get put inside quotes. So the chicken coop monster will be put inside quotes, okay? I just pretty much say what the story was mainly about, and then I said, I picked this story because I have a personal connection with the moral. And boom, that's all I have to do because I already know in the rest of my essay, I'm going to explain my personal connection with that moral, okay? My second example says, it's about Sleepy Hollow. It says, in the legend of Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod learns the hard way not to believe everything he reads or hears after he allows himself to be drawn into the stories of ghosts and hauntings within Sleepy Hollow. On a personal level, I can relate to this moral. So, second thing I noticed about this second intro paragraph, again, we put quotes around our short story that we're recognizing. And again, I said something about connecting to the personal, to the moral on a personal level. So up here, I said I picked the story because I have a personal connection with the moral. On this one, I say on a personal level, I can relate to this moral. That's all I got to do. In both these examples, I did my intro in 2 sentences, and that's completely fine. Okay. All right. So when you guys write your intro paragraph, model your intro paragraph after my 2 examples, and that's fine because part of learning how to write is also learning how to model somebody else's writing so you grasp a better understanding of how to write properly. So in this case, you're allowed to model yours after my examples, okay? All right, so that's the intro paragraph, okay? I'm going to go back to wrong button. You got to make sound effects or it doesn't happen. I don't know why I make sound effects when I click on stuff, but anyways, second paragraph says, explain how the moral is connected to your story of choice. What is the significance of the moral to the characters? What did the characters do to cause the moral theme to surface in the story? So, if you're writing about the legend of Sleepy Hollow, I do not need a word for word, detail for detail recount of the entire story. I just don't. I don't have time for that. You definitely don't have time for that. So, in the second paragraph, all you got to do is simply tell me how the moral that's in that chart is connected to the story. Where does it surface in the story? How does it affect the characters? Did the characters learn from that moral or theme? What's going on with that? Just pretty much explain how that moral is connected to the story. I do not need a recount of that entire story. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for you to simply tell me how the dead rising is connected to when people gather due to fear, they tend to panic and lose their minds. How does that come out in the story, okay? If you got questions about the second paragraph or the first paragraph, don't forget you can email me if you have questions. I can, talk to you that way as well. But you just tell me how the moral is connected, okay? The third paragraph, I want you to explain your personal connection to the moral. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you another example. I got this posted to Google Classroom as well. It's right here. It says lit Terrence suspense third paragraph example. So without reading this word for word to you, one of my best friends in high school, he was kind of a compulsive liar. And Christmas Day, he calls me up and says, "Hey, guess what? I got tickets to WWE Raw in Raleigh in March." And I don't know if you know what WWE is. It's professional wrestling. I will never apologize for loving watching WWE. I love wrestling. I think it's just the coolest thing in the world. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But me personally, I like to watch wrestling. So way back in 1996, 97, when my buddy called me and said he had tickets to WWE Raw, I got excited because he was like, "Dude, it's going to be me, my dad, and you. And we're not going to be ringside, but we're going to be like fifth row." So I'm like pumped because I'm like, "Yo, The Undertaker, Mick Foley, Stone Cold, Vader, Goldust. Oh my gosh, I'm so stoked. We're going to go see WWE Raw in March." So I'm real pumped. And even though I believe in this example, I call him Joe Bob. Even though Joe Bob was famous for lying to me and lying to everyone, I believed him. And sure enough, the day before we're supposed to go see WWE Raw in Raleigh, he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, see what had happened was," whenever somebody tells you see what had happened was, they're probably gonna be lying. He looked at me and said, "See what had happened was my dad didn't want to go, so he sold the tickets." I was like, "What?" He's like, "My dad didn't want to go, so he sold the tickets." I was like, "Hold up, what?" I said, "Who'd you sell them to?" And he was like, "Well, some guy." He's like, "Oh, but I don't have time to talk. I need to go like milk the cows and shave the chickens." I'm like, "Joe Bob, you don't even have any cows or chickens at your house." But he had lied. Long story short, he had lied to me about going to see WWE Raw in Raleigh, and he played me. And even though I knew better than to believe him, I got sucked into his story, and I believed it. And I felt so mad, and I was so sad, I was so disappointed, but I should have seen that coming because he was a compulsive liar, okay? So I kind of summed that up right here in this paragraph. And look right here, I said, I was mad and sad all at once because, like Ichabod, because in the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod gets pulled into stories that he probably knows better than to listen to. I'd allowed a story that was just a silly made-up story jump into my head to make it a reality, okay? So I explained my personal connection to the moral, and I also kind of connected it to the story. That's all I'm looking for is what is your personal connection to the moral of the story that you're discussing, okay? So that being said, when you pick a story, make sure you pick a story you can relate to. So if you're looking at the chicken coop monster and saying, "Love draws out fear," man, I can't relate to that. Don't write about that story then, okay? But if you can relate to not letting others take advantage of you, happens to everybody from time to time, boom, that story may be the one you want to write about. Make sure that you have a personal connection to the moral. Or if you can't think of a direct connection to the moral, lie to me, I'll never know. I will never ever know. Okay. So make sure you have a personal connection to the story. The fourth paragraph is just your opinion. Explain why you think this particular moral is one that should resonate and be shared with others. Why do you think that this moral is so important that other people need to learn from it, just like you learned from it? What about it is so kind of life defining to you? So this is again expressing your opinion. Your opinion is never wrong as long as you tell me why. Okay, make sure you tell me why you believe what you believe, because your opinion never ever ever wrong. And the last paragraph is you're going to make it look just like the intro, just a little bit different. You're simply going to restate the name of your story, restate the moral you discussed in your essay, and bada boom, bada bing, you're done. Okay? So when you guys get done, please, I'm going to scroll down. No, I'm going to push this up. Please, please, please read out loud yourself. I'm not kidding. It totally works. Sometimes when I read stuff out loud, I catch all my spelling errors because I'll type something and have an error in it, and I won't catch it till I read it out loud. So you may think you're crazy or may think I'm crazy for saying this, but read out loud yourself. I'm not kidding. It totally works. Okay. Make sure you run spell check. You got the kids in my class. We connected Grammarly to our Google Chrome accounts. If you haven't done that yet, oh dear goodness, please do that. I think I have another video about that, but if I don't, I'll make one and I'll post it. But please attach your Grammarly to your accounts. And last but not least, double check the front and make sure you covered all 5 paragraphs correctly. If you got less than 5 paragraphs, homeboy, you did something wrong. Okay, if you got more than 5 paragraphs, you did something wrong. Make sure you get your exact 5 paragraphs because that's what I'm looking for. Okay, as always, if you have a question, holler at me. I'm just an email away, and I will try to help you out to the best of my ability, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I will talk to you guys later. I think that's about it. But as always, got a question, holler at me, and I'll respond through email. Have a good day.